What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm actually in a 2016 Toyota Mirai certified pre-owned, and we're actually going to be comparing the Toyota Mirai versus the Tesla Model 3 that I also own. We're going to be looking at the exterior, interior comparisons, of course the range of both of each cars, how they both drive, and of course finally the cost comparison for each cars. So welcome back to the channel and thanks for watching another video. Let's get into the video and compare the Tesla Model 3 versus the Toyota Mirai. Thanks for watching another video guys. If you're new here, my name is Dennis. I have a Tesla Model 3 and a Nissan GTR and a Toyota Mirai, and I make videos about my experience. So if you're interested in any of that, please hit that subscribe. So this is my 2016 black Toyota Mirai hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. It's basically like a glorified Prius. It's a sedan, 4 doors, an engine in the front, or hydrogen fuel cell engine in the front, 4 doors. The trunk space is also pretty limited. It's got some stuff in here because we are moving, but it's not a full-size trunk as you can see. The Prius is probably a little bit bigger trunk space than this, but it's also a pretty tall car. You sit up a little bit higher than a normal sedan would. So it's kind of like an SUV, but not as high as an SUV, kind of in the middle between an SUV and a sedan in terms of height. I can't show you the mileage, but I purchased this car certified pre-owned for about $14,000, $15,000 with tax, and I financed it for 72 months with Toyota at 1.9 at a special promotional rate of 1.9%. So my payment's pretty low on this, and it came with $15,000 worth of hydrogen fuel that should last me 3 years total. One thing that I really like about this car, and most cars have it now, are these LED or xenon headlights that look really pretty cool, and there's also LED fogs right here on the side, which kind of help with that nice, making it look different and a little bit cooler than just a Prius. So this is the interior. You can see it's pretty much standard Toyota. You've got the Toyota badge right in the center of your steering wheel. This is a little bit interesting in the sense that the dashboard is a little bit integrated and far away from your steering wheel or your driving position. Of course, you got the standard Toyota navigation system. The really nice thing with the Toyota Mirai is that it has a JBL sound system, which is standard for all Mirais, I'm pretty sure. And it has this really funky center dash console with this drive stalk, which is kind of reminds me of a Prius drive stalk. But the one kicker with the interior of a Toyota Mirai that might be a deal breaker is the back seat of the Mirai only has 2 seats because the middle center console thing does not fold up and does not stow away. So there's really only 2 people can sit back here and 2 people up front. So the Toyota Mirai only can fit 4 people total, which could be a deal killer for some, maybe even some Uber drivers, but delivery drivers, this is probably one of the better vehicles for it just because it runs off of hydrogen and hydrogen is free. Another thing that comes standard is the leather seats. So you can see it's a leather interior, which is really nice. So this is basically a upgraded Prius, or a really nice Prius, because it has a lot of features, including xenon headlights, foldable mirrors, blind spot detection, that I'm not actually sure that the Prius comes with standard. So the interior of the Tesla Model 3 is much more simpler, as you probably already know, and it's kind of comfy. I mean, it's fake leather or vinyl leather, as they say. The steering wheel is actually leather though, but the infotainment screen is pretty simple. Everything that you need is right on the screen right here, from climate control to music to directions and GPS. So of course, there is no knobs or anything like that besides the ones on the steering wheel, and then the drive stalk and the turn signal on the left. So there's not a bunch of knobs like there or buttons in the Mirai, and so it's just way more simpler. The Model 3 is a 4-seater, and there isn't that thing in the middle like there is in the Mirai, so you can actually sit 5 people in the back pretty comfortably. Now, in terms of driving dynamics, I hate to say this, but the Mirai actually drives a lot smoother than the Mirai. It handles the bumps a lot better than the Mirai does, and it's just a lot more comfortable. But of course, the Model 3 handles a lot better on the roads because it's lower to the ground. It's more of a sporty suspension. So if you're looking for comfort, the Toyota Mirai actually wins in that department because it's a lot more comfortable to drive the Toyota Mirai as a daily driver around town. So of course the Toyota Mirai doesn't have any sort of autopilot, but it does have like a cruise control where it will maintain speed for you and brake when it needs to. And also the Toyota Mirai doesn't have automatic regenerative braking, but you can throw it into this BR mode, where if you're going downhill like this, you can throw it into BR mode and it will start to slow down and charge up the battery and go a little bit slower so that it can regain some of the efficiency and energy back into the battery. So I was actually confused on that last clip, so you're probably semi-confused on that last clip. The Tesla Model 3 is actually a pretty harsh ride, and it's pretty bumpy in at least the Los Angeles area, because I guess it has somewhat of a sporty suspension, and it doesn't necessarily handle the bumps as well, and the interior isn't actually that comfortable either. So I would say that the Mirai probably wins in this department because it's just a little bit more comfortable to drive around than the Tesla Model 3. In the driving dynamic settings, there's actually a handful of settings that you can actually change. For acceleration, you can go from chill or sport, and then for regenerative braking, you can actually set it to low or standard. Standard being the highest amount of regenerative braking, which hopefully generates more power for you, but because it's so powerful and the car reduces speed pretty quickly, it can make your passengers pretty nauseous. Unlike the Mirai, which you have to flip it into regenerative braking each time you want it to turn into regenerative braking. So the one really nice thing with Toyota, when you buy a Toyota Mirai, certified pre-owned or brand new, is you get a hydrogen fuel card with about $15,000 worth of money, which you can use to pay for hydrogen fuel for 3 years. So the process of fueling up a Toyota Mirai is pretty kind of painful. These fuel pumps are really finicky, and so you have to kind of like finagle it the right way or else it will not fuel up your car. There's like a nozzle here that I wish I could show you while I was holding the camera, but I don't want to risk touching an electronic and fuel pump because it's hydrogen, it's a little bit more scarier. So once you do is you attach it onto the car, then you latch it on with this bottom part, and then you lift up this lever over here, push the fuel that you want, and then it starts fueling. This fueling process takes about 5 minutes, give or take, and it's pretty slow, and it makes a lot of noise, a lot of scary noise, a lot of clunks and everything as the hydrogen fuel goes into the Toyota Mirai. So this is where hydrogen gets a little bit tricky if you do not have a gas card or a hydrogen gas card from Toyota. You can see here a full tank pretty much costs $67.48, and it gave us 4 kilograms of hydrogen. This gives you about 230 miles of range, and depending on your commute can only really last you a week. And so once you're done, it's basically the same thing. You unlock the latch, put down the latch over here, and then bring it out somehow. And then bring it out. You can see that this gas nozzle is humongous, and there's a lot of safety locks and latches that really secure it to the car. Once you're done, you just put the cap back on, and then you're good to go. So you can see that if you don't have the hydrogen gas card, hydrogen can get pretty expensive, because let's say you drove about 230 miles a week, that would basically cost you $67 a week just to fill out at one of these hydrogen stations. In terms of charging, you can either charge it at home if you have a home charging setup, and usually those charge at about 20 to 30 miles an hour, give or take, at a 240 volt outlet. Or you can go to Tesla superchargers, which is considered level 3, and that can be anywhere from 20 minutes from 20 to 80%, all the way up to about even 30 or even 40 minutes from 20% to 80% charge. Either of those options usually aren't free. Supercharging can cost anywhere from $5 to $10 for a fill up, just enough so you can be on your way. And charging at home also has a cost as well, but which can really range on electricity rates in your area and your utilities. The most recommended way to charge is at home, because then you can go to your destination or do whatever you need to do during the day, and then come home, charge overnight, and then basically have a full battery or full tank of gas, so to speak, for what you need to do the next day. My long-range performance Model 3 gets currently about 280 miles of range from what the computer says. It's supposed to be rated at 310 miles of range, but in real world, that's really only about 260 miles of range. And you're only supposed to charge it to about 90% or 80% each day. So that drops even further to about 230 to 240 miles of usable range each day. But of course, the one area where the Tesla Model 3 really shines against the Mirai is just autopilot. Just being able to just drive, throw it into autopilot, and just sit back and kind of just go along for the ride as Tesla Model 3 drives through the city, drives through the highways, and takes you to the destination, as long as you trust the computers and the systems from making an error. So at the end of the day, both cars are really good cars, but just at really different price points. Of course, one works off of hydrogen, which can be scarce depending on which city of California that you live in, and the other one runs off electricity, which can cost you more money depending on your charging system. A used certified pre-owned Tesla Mirai that comes with a fuel card that lasts 3 years, you can get pretty much for about $10,000 these days, which is really not a lot of money at all. And a brand new or even slightly used Tesla Model 3 standard range, which would probably get you about the same amount of mile range in real world setting, is around $35,000 at a starting price. You're really paying 3x the money for a Tesla Model 3, but I'm not sure you're actually getting 3x the value if you just need a good daily driver that will last you 3 years. So if you did find this video interesting, then you're probably comparing a Toyota Mirai versus a Model 3 standard range. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on which vehicle you think is a better value for you guys. Is it the Tesla Model 3 or the Toyota Mirai? Love to hear you guys' thoughts. All right guys, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.